Okay, the Austrians have had their manoeuvre phase, and it's now the Bavarian response phase. We're now in range in some areas. There is some movement inside the farmstead area. That's the De Roy's artillery have been covering. So the artillery on the hill here will fire. Now there's a slight complication in so much that there is a slight knoll again on one side of that covers just behind that those trees. There is a small grassy knoll which restricts some of the artillery fire into the village. So I will say 4 of them will fire and 2 of them will find that that grassy knoll prohibits them from firing down into where the infantry are beginning to come through the village. So because of the distance, 24 inches is the distance, which is at long range. It's the maximum of the long range for medium guns. So we need a 6 to hit, basically. It's 4 guns firing, 2 of them being obstructed by the small grassy knoll, which is located just here. Grassy knoll, that's just like hillock, and these N2 guns, I'm pretty certain, would have a trouble firing through that if they're angling their guns into the village. They might hit the village, but in terms of hitting the infantry coming through, I'm going to say they are obstructed. So it's 4 firing and they need a 6 to hit. So do the first 2. 1 hit. Second 2. So we've got 1 6 out of those. So that's one hit. That's 1 figure removed. Oh, incidentally, I have to just roll a dice to see if it's a morale test for coming into contact with the enemy for the first time. Because they were planning to shoot, they are coming into contact for the first time. So scored a 1. But they are under control of the general, and there's no other adverse incidents happening around them. The sort of thing for that particular test that you are looking at is it's called testing for first meeting with opposition. If shot at with round shot, if shot at with canister, is surprised, if shaken, for each friendly unit currently visible, broken or en route, if not currently under general's control. And if under general's control, then it's -1. So it becomes evens, and with evens, that's a test has passed. I beg your pardon, because De Roy is a bold general, and we only scored a 1, then we didn't, because it's a bold general, it's reduced by 1, so it becomes evens, which means we actually failed the test, which means he must advance now to most effective range to fire on the nearest enemy. We are doing exactly that anyway as part of our orders. And there's various other bits of details about what you can and can't do, but in essence, it's a advance to contact instruction from failing that, because we have a bold general and there's no other negatives that would apply, and we only scored 1, so there we are. Okay, so there's 1 casualty, which equates to obviously 50 actual men. So although 1 casualty doesn't seem much from artillery firing, it's at long range, and it's it's 50 actual men. So a quick pan across the battle. There's no other shooting because everything else is not in range. So we now move on to the Austrian response phase. Big one, the Bavarian manoeuvre phase. So the Austrian response phase now, the Bavarians have moved up in much the same fashion. The unit in the village there has to do a check to see meeting enemy for the first time, and of course they were shot at with round shot. So we roll the dice. So I think that's the 1, is it? No, that's 6. This dice, yeah, so that's 6. So they're going to be fine. Yeah, that's 6, so they're fine. Okay, so the Austrians now need to take a test because they are planning to shoot in the shooting phase. It's the response. Remember, I said it's the Austrian response phase. There are, in fact, artillery. There's an artillery battery now on this hill here. This is a hill. That is an artillery battery up there. So the Austrians need to test to see, in response to their planned intention to meet enemy the first time, by firing at. So it's a 4. I'll just quickly run through that. I think they'll be absolutely fine. But the test is, if shot at with range shot or common shell or shrapnel, but they're not shot at. If shot at with canister, rockets or massed small arms, no. If surprised, no. If shaken, no. For each friendly unit currently visible, broken, no. If not currently under General's control, where they are. If currently under the control of Bold General, -1. So we've still got 4, so it would put us down to 3. I think actually they have got, yeah, no, they have got a Bold General. Okay, so they're fine. So, so they passed their test. So it's the battery on the hill here, 6 guns, medium guns, firing at the battalion there in dense formation. So because it's at long range, they still need they need 6s to hit. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guns. That's 3. There's no obstructions. There are skirmish line, but because they are dense formation, they can fire through the skirmish line. So I'm going to do 3 rolls of the 2 dice. First one, no, there's no 6s. 1 6. And no, just one. So it's one casualty. So that's 50 figures. Sorry, 50 men. 1 figure removed. Sorry, I was actually pointing to the wrong hill when, a bit like the Charger Light Brigade, isn't it? But the wrong guns. No, the wrong hill when I was showing you where the cannons were. I was looking at the screen, it's not clear. So the guns are actually here, which is actually almost directly in front of this gap here. So although it looks like it's at an angle because of where the camera's situated, if you come along here more, you will see that those guns are smack bang up on the hill to the right of the unit. Okay, that's the Austrian manoeuvre phase over. We will be passing over now to the Bavarian response phase. So our Bavarians that were shot at with the round shot, we'll need to take a test, i.e. those. In the centre here, looks like Austrians are beginning to come into the village there. And over on the right, there seems to be cavalry manoeuvring as well. And also skirmishers manoeuvring. Looks like skirmishers start fighting shortly. So we move to the Bavarian response phase. So for that unit, it's being shot at, testing to first meeting with the opposition, and it is the first factor is if shot at with round shot, common shell or shrapnel or by skirmishers, and it's 1. So let's roll the dice. So it's the 3. It's 1. If shot at with canister, no. Surprised, no. Shaken, no. Each any, no, 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 no. So they survived. It's reduced by 1, but they survived. Okay, so we've moved from the response phase of the Bavarians to their shooting phase, but because the artillery, remember the artillery who fired, they failed their test because they got a bold general, they are on a advance to most effective range. So currently they were at long range, so they need to get in. So they are currently going to limber and move. And limbering, it takes off some of the movement. So I think they only have 1 inch movement left to them because of the limbering time. So next move they'll have more, but that's where they're at the moment. So we're moving on to the manoeuvre phase because there's no other shooting for Bavarians. Okay, so the Bavarians are continuing their march forward towards the guns are now limbered, and they are coming off the hill towards the village. They move forward just a little bit. It's not the village, the farm there, sorry. In the middle here we've got skirmishers out to the fore, coming to the sort of final fields before they start engaging with the Austrian skirmishers. Interestingly, there's Austrian skirmishers along this hedge line here, and our skirmishers, or Bavarian skirmishers, along here. The 4 battalions now are we've got 2 battalions in front. That was the one that took the casualties last time. And they got their 1st brigade all going through that small gap there. Bearing in mind it's in the direct line of the artillery. In the middle we've got again the long march along the road to engage with the centre. And then over on the right, looks like the skirmishers are now back to engage, and the cavalry again still coming round, and we've also extended our cavalry by going to the flanks and moved forward in line, and also, well, to a point, two battalions are now deployed into line, 1 manning the hedge and the other in just to the side of the hedge, and then we've got 2 supporting battalions of line, and then further back we've got obviously the guns on the hill here, and we have a reserve battalions or brigade just behind the hill. Now it's the Austrian response phase, so the skirmishers, I think they are within range. Bear with me. No, not quite. They were just out of range. So is just the Austrian shooting for the guns on the hill, firing again at that same unit coming through the gap. So it's 6 guns firing at a dense target. The range now, it's still at long range, so we need 6s to hit, and we have 6 guns firing. 1, 2, miss. 3, 4, 1 hit. 1 hit. So again, that's another 50. So figure removed, and there's no other shooting at the moment. So we come on to the Austrian manoeuvre phase. Austrian manoeuvre phase. Okay, in terms of Austrian manoeuvre, the manoeuvre phase, Austrian phase is now over. They've moved, so let's have a quick scout. Let's look over to that farmstead. Nothing really clear coming out of there, but there is obviously clearly movement. We're progressing through the gap. Again, there's nothing clear on the hill beside. Looks like the skirmishers have come down off the hill there. Moment halfway down, and they've just crossed over the hedge. Austrian skirmishers. More units coming into the village and town. It's going to come to a head soon. And over on the right hand side, there's a lot of troop movement. Not altogether sure what's happening, but it looks like a lot of cavalry coming around. I hope we've got enough there to deal with it. And we have artillery, of course. So we now move on to the Bavarian response phase. Now I think I might have missed it, but it may well be because they took a test last time. I didn't need to test them again, but I think I should have done. But this unit here took casualties from artillery. They will need to test. They are testing in response to shooting casualties. So roll the dice. 3. For each hit received from shooting during the current bound. So it was last time they had one hit. So that's down to 2. If any figures lost to rockets, no surprise. If raw, regulars, or irregular levy, they are trained. That's the category. We're one up from raw. If occupied in a building or others which are on fire, if not currently under general's control, they are within 12, so they are. Okay, so they are okay. Over on the right here, we've got the skirmishers about to meet the enemy for the first time because they plan to shoot at their opposition skirmishers there. So they will do the test for meeting enemy for the first time. And it's because of their intention to shoot this guy. So we roll a dice. I think they'll probably be alright on the 3. Not shot at range shot. So they're fine. There's nothing there. Cause problems whatsoever. Yeah, pass the test. Okay, move on to Bavarian shooting phase. Well, we can't shoot the artillery over here now because they are manoeuvring forward and redeploying to effective range. So they'll be doing that next go. No musketry at all out of range. Not long though. Over here there is though, on the right hand side as we said. So shooting, we've got 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 shooting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 versus 7. So it's skirmishers fire by infantry with muskets. So the range is 100 is within 2 inches. So it's needs 6s to hit. sorry, no, not rapid. We need 5 or 6 to hit. 5 or 6 to hit. So we've got the first one on the far left. Nope, missed. Next one. 6, 1 hit. Next one. 2 hits. Nope. 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 3 hits. So it's 3 figures. 3 figures off them. Wow, that's quite good shooting. So it's going to be 3 figures off them. So they'll be need to test to receive casualties. So 3 figures off them. So 150 men have decided to withdraw or be shot, killed, etc. I.e. withdraw rating or shot. The unit hasn't rated, but the obviously it's 150 off their casualties. So it's quite a significant firefight. That. Okay. It's now, so that's the shooting, Bavarian shooting over with, and it then moves on to Bavarian manoeuvre phase. Okay, it's the Austrian response phase. So we'll need to take response to the skirmish unit, having taken 3 lots of casualties. Don't think there's any other significant response. They passed their being shot at last time. And I don't think there was any casualties, that one in the middle there last time, so they won't need to test. So it's just the skirmishers having lost the firefight and lost 150 men, I think it was. So let's test that. So I'll roll. Oh, a 1. That makes it interesting. If any, for each hit received from shooting during the current bound, so that's 3. If any figures lost to rockets, no. If surprise, if raw regulars or regulars, no. If occupying buildings, no. If currently under a general's control, yeah, so it only takes a 2. No. So they fail. If the test succeeds, the unit continues to act as the player wishes. If it fails, troops who advanced last bound must not advance next bound. Troops who were halted at the end of the last bound must retire, so they cannot advance. So that's okay. Taken at least 25 paces next bound, troops who retire break. These rates during both the response move and however, if at least half the hits on the unit were on skirmishers rather than their supports, only the skirmishers party unit is affected. Any other break? Okay. So no, they haven't broken, but they're not able to advance any further. Okay, it's Austrian shooting. So we have a continuing guns on the hill. And I don't think there's any others other than the skirmishers. So the guns on the hill. No. No. 1 hit. So 1 hit, it needs to be 14, I think, inches before it is in no longer in long range. So I don't think they're in 14 inches. So still at long range, one hit. So there'll be one figure removed. Yeah, on a 6, because it was firing at a unit in line there, so both it would hit for the same, because it was at long range. Okay, so it's the shooting. Over here we've got shooting 2, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they class as 2 each, so it's 1, 2, the one you don't class as, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 firing at 5. So 5 fire at 5, so it's going to be so it's a 5 or 6 to hit. And it's 5 of them firing. So there's the first one, no. Second one, no. Third, no. Fourth, yes. Fifth, yes. Sixth, no. So it's 2 hits, so 2 figures removed. And the Bavarian skirmishers there will have to do a test on their next response phase for receiving casualty fire. So it's Austrian manoeuvre phase. Okay, Austrians are moved. Let's have another look. It's all hotting up in this town here. I think that's going to come to blows very shortly. Change the position shortly to get you an idea what's happening in that. Oh, sorry, I should have paused it there. You can see there's Austrians coming through the village. It's beginning. There's some Austrian flags there for sure. There's an Austrian unit in line. Some infantry on the hill there. I don't know. What's that? Looks like infantry or cavalry. It's the gap with the artillery. Not much this side of the town yet. Should have put skirmishers in there probably. So it's now the Austrian response phase. Sorry, the Bavarian response phase, I beg your pardon. So the Bavarians who were shot at by the artillery on the hill, who suffered 1 casualty, will need to take a test, as will the skirmishers who suffered a casualty. So it's a test for the same test for receiving fire from round shot for the guys in the middle. So let's roll the dice. Let's see where we're at. 6, so it should be fine. That's not going to change anything at all. Okay, and then on the other side, the skirmishers, having received a casualty, 3. No, they're not going to. It's not going to affect them because they are still within 12. There's no other units routing or anything like that. They've received casualties. Will take them down 1. There's only 1 casualty received, so yeah, no, they're fine. Sorry, they received 2 casualties, but they'll still be fine. Our development, we've got the looks like infantry unit on the hill there. So I can zoom in. No. So yeah, it looks like infantry coming over the hill. And it's now Bavarian shooting phase. So last go they limbered the unlimbered, the guys there. I think they are probably within 15 now, so they may well be or near to effective range. But because the hedge is there, I'm going to allow them to deploy there. I think it's a natural place where they would deploy, bearing in mind the Austrians are advancing towards them. I'm actually going to only allow them to fire at the. There's a unit of. Sorry, I'll just move the camera. So that was 100 men affected with 2 hits. In the middle there, there's no change. They're still not in range. And over at the sack, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 firing. Skirmishes, sorry, 6 skirmishes firing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 hit. 1 hit. So taken off. So after shooting, we've got the firefight happening by the farmstead between skirmishers. We've got the guns up on the hill, continue firing at the advancing Bavarians there, who are now deployed into line, some of them. In the middle here, they are just poised to engage.